there in the ninth and gave up 4. They tie the game, but we got to make some pitches there to keep the game where it's at. We get the first out in the ninth, in the bottom of the ninth, and then a freshman, Brendan Lawson, comes up with a really big at bat, and then Cade gets the double down the left field line with 2 strikes, and then obviously we won on the wild pitch. I mean, it's one of those things you can't practice, or simulate in practice, so we have to go through it. Yeah, there's a lot of positives to the game tonight.
This upcoming weekend, the Gators gear up to host in-state rival Miami in a 3-game series starting Friday night at 6:30. It's 79 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our 3 sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dawes. Hey!
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor. Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Welcome into Helmets and Heels. The Combine Week rolls on. Mia O'Brien up there in Indianapolis for one final day today. Frank and Hayes headed back to Jacksonville, so they'll be doing their show today from FLORIDA. Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders is here. I'm Lauren Brooks with you, and we will check in with Mia in just a little bit and figure out exactly what Travis Hunter said that's going to make him be picked ahead of Abdul Carter, since now Abdul Carter has a little bit of a stress fracture, but he doesn't need surgery, but he still should go number 1. I can't decide who's going to go number 1. Taylor, it also could be a quarterback. We're trying to get Mia to push the quarterbacks to go very early on. But yeah, lots of NFL Combine news coming out.
Yeah, I think that the Abdul Carter storyline is going to be so intriguing to follow because he's already been somebody we've talked about in the top 3 for a long time now. But when you start mixing in some of the injury stuff, does that cause any red flags for the teams that are drafting him?
A little bit too.
Yeah, the size. I know that he was obviously playing when Notre Dame and Penn State played. He was injured. He was only like 60% in that game and was insane still. So it's like if that's 60% Abdul Carter and you're getting 100%, if they're saying, everything's fine and he'll be good, then you think that would be the number 1 pick. But then, I'm not sure how much the Combine directly is going to say it's going to be Travis Hunter, it's going to be Abdul Carter, but we always get little things out of this where teams fall in love with a player because they get to talk to them, and that interview process is really important for a lot of those people.
We talked with Jordan
Gladstone,
Rodriguez.
we know that's going to be a big part of his.
Yeah, absolutely, for the intangibly rich. Yeah, we talked with Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic, who spent a year doing behind-the-scenes work with the Rams, or I guess she was doing more of the writing side of things, but just learning how they work as far as their player procurement process, and we'll have her on the show tomorrow. I would like to be at the Combine in the interview process.
Yeah,
the medical process is certainly another fascinating part because of how many different doctors get to check these guys out. And so you do figure out, what players are dealing with what things. Sometimes they don't even know, which is wild to me. But the interview process, I think, would be really interesting. And for instance, since you mentioned James Gladstone, the Jaguars general manager, is he in every single interview, or do they mix it up? They obviously have their entire team up in Indy, whereas other teams have elected not to operate that way. So are they in every single player interview? Do they have certain ones earmarked and then they want to get back to their other film study and things like that? I would love to know too, like the questions that they ask. We always ask.
We hear some funky ones that come
we always
out.
hear about some of the wilder ones. But I would love to be in those interviews. And then figure out, based off of those, like how much do they weigh those in comparison to tape when they go to select these players in April?
Yeah, and I'm sure certain general managers weigh it more. Every general manager has their probably checklists of here's everything that I am looking for in a player. And I think some GMs are more about character and if it's that maybe they want a really smart player, maybe they want someone who they can converse with a little bit better. Some may not. Some may be like, I've watched tape and everything that you've done in tape is enough. I want to see if you can at least maybe hold a conversation with me. But it is
too. I think they're trying to trick sometimes other teams. Like they won't request the interview with them with a certain player because they don't want to tip off other teams that they're
interested.
Player.
Yeah, and it is funny though. It always makes me laugh because throughout the week you'll see all of the players come to the podium, and almost every single time someone asks them, whoever the team they're covering is, did you talk to so-and-so?
Right.
And the player will always be like, yeah, it went great. Like, the interview went great. And I'm like, I wonder, I just want one time for them to be like, that was terrible. Worst interview I've ever had.
Yeah, because when I interview, sometimes I feel like I'm so nervous because you want to say all the right things, and then everything you've ever been taught about an interview goes through your head, and it's like, okay, well, don't actually acknowledge any weaknesses. Say strengths that can sound like weaknesses, and then you get in your own head. By the way, speaking of the medical side of things, Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, it was found that he has a hamstring strain. Well, so he will not be participating in the on-field drills. And we found out also today that Mason Graham, who the Jaguars, at least seems to us, certainly has an interest in him, the defensive tackle also out of Michigan, that he will only come do the bench press at the combine.
Yeah, I saw both of those. I know and that's one thing I would like to sit down and talk to a general manager about, because the players that don't or can't participate in a lot of the activities, some can't because of an injury, some just say they don't want to. Does that mean that the interview means more for those certain people? Do you have to focus more on that aspect of it because you're not getting all of the other stuff at this? And yes, maybe the pro day, you'll be able to have some of the other when it comes to the 40 and some of the other things you may want to see. But does that mean you're more invested in the interview in some of those? Because if you really like a Kenneth Walker, is that what it's Kenneth Grant? If you really like a Kenneth Grant,
Jalen Walker.
I know, I'm like mixing multiple of them.
Trayvon
I also
Walker.
really like. I really like a lot of the Michigan. They were two of my favorite when we made our list at the beginning because I felt like their defense was going to be so good. So it was a lot of names throughout the year I was focusing on anyways. But I just always wonder, it's like if you're having those conversations, you can't in this environment on this day, you're not going to see them do all of these drills. Are you focused more in on this interview because you like this player and you still want to see a little bit more in depth of that? And if you want to go see them at the pro day. So I would love to have that conversation with the Gladstone. Like if you're not watching them work out, does the interview mean even more for you?
Right, and Graham only doing bench press. Like, what does that really indicate? If he does, mediocre on that, like, oh well, we already were a little concerned that he's not the biggest guy. I did hear Prisco on with Frank and Hayes yesterday, and he really likes Mason Graham. The only thing he was worried about was maybe a little bit of the size.
Yeah.
But other than that, said he uses his hands super well, and he's ferocious there in the middle of that Michigan defense, like you said. So Prisco really likes him. I feel like if Pete likes him, then I can trust certainly him. And you mentioned talking with general managers years ago. Jessica Blaylock and I were doing Helmets and Heels from the Jaguars Stadium, or maybe we filled in for Jaguars Today or something. Either way, we were downtown inside Everbank Stadium when the Jaguars broadcasted from there. Now it's the Miller Electric Center. And Dave Caldwell just like walked by, came in, sat down with us, and did an interview with us for like 15 minutes on air. I would love to have that relationship with James Gladstone, and he can certainly stop by 1010XL, or we can go to the Miller Electric Center and have these conversations. I do have a shout out to give for one Heeligan who tweeted me last night. His name is Shrubzall Jax. Okay. He said, more fodder for you this offseason. And he tagged me in Adam Schefter's tweet. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis indicated the team will stick with Derek Carr as the team's starting quarterback in 2025. So he knows the history here on our program as far as me trash talking Derek Carr. Again, not as a person, as a quarterback. I thought that once Kellen Moore became the head coach that they might move in a different direction than Derek, but it sounds like they're going to stick with him as a starting quarterback. Good luck, Kellen Moore, in your first year as the head coach.
Maybe they're a team that will try and get somebody a little later. We've talked about some of these quarterbacks you may be able to, most of the quarterbacks you may be able to get a little later, but some definitely more probably in the second, third, fourth rounds. Maybe they attempt at that, but I do think that maybe they're evaluating this. And if Kellen Moore says, I don't love any of these quarterbacks in this draft, or I don't think any of the ones that may be available in free agency, or maybe they will try that. Who knows? If they can get a Sam Darnold or they can get a Justin Fields, does that change things a little bit? But it's interesting because right now, if you have a quarterback, which obviously we've been in times where you don't really feel like you have the quarterback that you want starting the next year, it puts you in a completely different position heading into the offseason, because that obviously is your focal point. But if you have a lot of other holes, which honestly the Saints have several holes, and I was reading the cap space the one day when we were talking about offenses, and they have one of the most expensive offenses in the league, and that's not one that you would put in that category of what you would think is an expensive offense.
Yeah, the Saints have mismanaged the cap there for a long time. That sucks for them, but at least here we do have almost $38 million, or right around $38 million for James Gladstone and his group to spend, which I do think that the Jaguars are going to have to pay a backup quarterback. I'm not saying pay top dollar by any means, but I do think they're going to bring in someone in addition to John Wolford, as much as we love the Bishop Kenny product. But I don't know who that's going to be at this point in time, but I am very intrigued to see the route that they go. And so I do think you have to earmark a little bit of money in free agency for a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you saw them give up some draft capital last year for a Mac Jones, and then now it's been back-to-back years where Trevor missed a month this last season, and the season before that played through a lot of injuries the last month that he probably shouldn't have. And so that's 2 years back-to-back where there was a month of his season where Trevor wasn't able to play at the level that you want him to. So that is something, honestly, you have to kind of think about in any scenario, but especially if your quarterback has back-to-back years with concussions and back-to-back years with different AC joints, but AC joints on each side, and it's unfortunate, but you need somebody that you feel like can come in, and I know that's what they felt Mac Jones was, and Mac Jones did okay in moments, but you do want someone that you feel like if you are playing competitively and Trevor's banged up, where you're not totally freaking out that you have no option to go to and can't win a game or two if he's not playing.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he really had that knee injury in October. That was the Thursday night game. He had suffered the knee injury prior to that. We weren't sure if he was going to play. And so, yeah, that entire season pretty much, it felt like week in and week out were injuries. And then,
we were waiting if he was practicing, seeing if he was practicing, if he was going to play. If
this past year, obviously, the shoulder required to be in the sling after surgery and things like that. So, yeah, I do think a backup quarterback is going to be something that the Jags will address in free agency. I don't think that they'll address it in the draft by any means, but another thing for James Gladstone and that group to work on while they're up in Indianapolis. Speaking of Indianapolis, we will head up and chat with Nick Baumgardner, who covers the NFL draft for The Athletic. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Bone-crushing blows to game-winning goals.
Yes!
Feel the energy on 1010XL.
History!
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, poker players, get ready for a month packed with big winnings at Best Bet in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine. On select dates, win $300 every 15 minutes on our fast action table games. Make a royal flush in hearts and win $5,000 on Valentine's Day. And there's 24-karat gold day in Jacksonville on February 28th. It's all happening this month at Best Bet. For all the details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay. gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein and Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. Max Fink here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
February is Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center will help you take charge of your well-being. Their new location at World Golf Village off I-95 now provides screenings for prostate, bladder, and colorectal cancers. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien will join us in the next segment from Indianapolis, but we may as well head up there now and chat with Nick Baumgardner, who covers the NFL draft for The Athletic. Nick, I know it's a busy day up there, so we appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've seen certainly the DBs. I feel like the DBs are becoming more and more like divas of their own right. We used to have wide receivers that were the divas, but I feel like the DBs are kind of climbing towards that. Tell us, as far as the Travis Hunter, the Kobe Bryants of the world, who has impressed you so far at the podium today?
I mean, the DBs are some of the most fun conversations usually. Because we'll get the, I'm going to run this, I'm going to jump that, I can do this. Kobe Bryant, you just mentioned him, is probably one of my favorites today of that one. I mean, he's a guy who's probably 175, maybe a little bit less than 180 pounds, so he's small, but he's super competitive, really physical. He's not afraid to hit. Like he told everybody today, he called me Mamba. He spells his name different from Kobe Bryant, but it's like, he feels like he shares the same sort of attitude, and I feel like that's the type of corner in the NFL that teams really, really covet. They don't want guys who are sort of wishy-washy or not overly confident about what they can do. And I think he was maybe more than anybody there today was the guy that maybe was the most confident, I would say, overall.
And I know he mentioned one Jalen Ramsey, that he models his game after him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jaguars fans very familiar with Jalen. Have you seen that when you've watched the film?
Yeah, it's just very intense, right? I mean, I think he's very intense. He's always in on everything that's going on, good communicator, and he's really not afraid to hit. And I think that's the thing with Jalen Ramsey. I mean, he can come down and he can fit the run, even though he's small. He's a really good press corner, really good man coverage. He's hard to get rid of and shake. So this is a solid corner class. I mean, he's one that's in there. You mentioned Travis, Benjamin Morrison talked today. Will Johnson from Michigan talked today. Jahdae Barron from Texas was another one who was really, really impressive. He's a guy that's one of my favorite players probably in this draft. I think he can play safety and corner, and is one of the more intelligent guys probably here. Period. So a lot of really good players at corner this year.
Nick, we've talked a lot about this draft and how maybe at the top of it, it doesn't have as elite of some of the players that maybe we've seen in recent drafts. But then we've talked about the depth of other position groups when it comes to running back, interior offensive lineman, defensive tackle, or some of the more deeper positional groups that we've talked about. But tell us a little bit about, in your opinion, a group that intrigues you the most, that you've kind of been wanting to keep an eye on during this combine process, that you think could be intriguing in this draft coming up.
Yeah, I think I would go with the tight end group, actually. I think the running backs and tight ends are kind of the two, and maybe a little bit of linebackers. But the tight ends, to me, the more I watch these guys and the deeper you get into the class, the more you see that there's just a lot of guys I think that could help teams, whether it's, in a starring role. Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are, elite players. Elijah Arroyo from Miami, will creep up there as well. Mason Taylor from LSU is also, a fringe first-round pick. But then you get deeper, into the class, and you find guys like Robbie Outs from Alabama, who's kind of a sawed-off, 280-pound tight end / fullback, who's really fun, who will do anything. Luke Leachy from Iowa, son of an old Washington Redskins star. He's a really good football player, really tough, will kind of do anything. So I feel like the tight end class will really be deep and stretch into day 3 for teams that will still be able to find guys that are, productive at a position that often gets, flack due to the positional value. So this is one of those years where the low positional value positions like tight end or running back or linebacker are actually all the best. So it's kind of one of those a little awkward for the math people, but it's going to work out.
Yeah, a little awkward is right. All right, Nick, let's get into the big guys yesterday, the defensive linemen. What did you think of a guy like Mason Graham, who a lot of us here in Jacksonville certainly have been watching him closely?
Yeah, I love him. I think he's one of the best 3 players in this class. It would shock me to a degree in some ways if he got past the Jaguars. Actually, I feel like he'd be a really good fit for a lot of reasons. I think that he's one of the closest things in this draft to, what we say, bust-proof. I think that he's going to be able to come in wherever he goes, tomorrow and be a guy that competes. And not only that, competes and makes them better on the field. I think he's a guy that can help the culture. Jacksonville's young team, they've got some really nice young pieces on defense. I think that they're all sort of on their own island, kind of floating around. And if you can get a couple more, alphas in there a little bit that are guys that have won before and, know how to work like Graham does, I think that could, help culture. I think that could help, build, a foundational pillar almost in some ways for them. So I feel like this is a really good opportunity for them, because there's so many quarterback needy teams in front of them and everywhere else in the draft that if some of these guys slide, right, Abdul Carter's got a broken bone in his foot. What if he slips? Those are things for a team like Jacksonville right now that could really, really pay off big because they don't need a quarterback, right? They have Trevor. So I think that they're in a decent spot there despite having some struggles recently.
Yeah, I think that we've been talking a ton about both sides of the trenches because it's where the focus, I think, should be. And most people kind of agree with that. So the offensive line part, I mentioned that interior offensive line, a lot of people say are a deeper part in this draft. And sometimes we'll start to see these players who maybe played one position in college and they may be able to be a little more versatile at the next level. One player that we saw start to rise a ton during the Senior Bowl in Gray Zabel, he's a name that all of a sudden started spiking. Everybody was talking about how far do you think he climbs, and do you think there's any other names we could keep an eye out for that you see making maybe a little bit of a climb in this draft?
Yeah, Zabel's a great one. He was probably the best. I think he won MVP actually at the Senior Bowl for his team, and he might have been the best, in general player there overall. So I mean, he was a guy that just got, the Senior Bowl is a very one-on-one-ish event with a lot of one-on-one reps and everything else. But even in team stuff, I mean, he just was beating people he rarely lost a rep. He was one of the most consistent players there. I think he's a first-round pick. He's a guy who can play center, guard, also played tackle in college. So, when you've got a guy who can play multiple spots or possibly all 5, that becomes more about, how much he can retain information and how fast he is with his, mental and everything else. And I think that's the thing that sort of separates him is I think he's a really consistent, steady worker who's strong enough to do this. And I think teams have seen that. I think he might be the best center in general in this draft. And then another guy along the interior that I think could go, pretty high for a guard spot would be Tyler Booker, the gigantic kid from Alabama. He's about he played at about 350 early on in his career there, but he is probably the best run blocker, I would say, in the class in terms of just being able to move a guy from one spot to another. He's quick enough to protect as well. And like we said, we all know that, Jacksonville's number one goal right now has to be keeping Trevor upright. And then the other way to protect your quarterback is with a run game. So, take something off his back. So I think that would also be an area that the Jaguars can hit, in the second round, maybe even trade back up and get a guy too. So I think that they're, again, in a nice spot to add at the position of need there.
Yeah, after Ashton Genty, Nick, how would you rate the running backs or rank the running backs?
Yeah, so after him, it gets a little bit interesting with Caleb Johnson from Iowa, Amarian Hampton from North Carolina. And I think I say interesting because it's not so much about, I think you could go either or on those guys. Some days you feel like Hampton's better, some days Johnson. But I think the real part of that is I think both guys are going to have first-round grades from some teams, especially in this class. And it wouldn't shock me if either or both, found their way into the first round at the bottom. Both guys are three-down backs. They can, block. They can run outside, inside. Both the Ohio State running backs, Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, are terrific. I think they're both guys who would be an easy fit there on day two. The kid from Rutgers, Monangai, is a really tough runner. There's just a really deep group of backs. I think you'll be able to get good running backs in this class in like round 5. I think it's that deep, and it's one of those ones where teams get scared. They don't want to take guys too high. But I do think we could see a run on them maybe in the second round, and then maybe we'll see guys trickle down into day 3.
It's a perfect time as the NFL is also just feeling like the resurgence of the running game is back in general. So perfect draft for that to happen after a Derrick Henry and Saquon and Josh Jacobs and all of them have the years they did on new teams. I do want to talk a little bit about the quarterback class. You mentioned obviously not here needing a quarterback, but it does affect things that happen in those 4 spots ahead of the Jaguars, including the Tennessee Titans. I think that's a big one. Do they want an Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, or do they think one of these quarterbacks are worth it? But in your opinion, what does it end up shaking out? And I know we still have a little bit of time, but that quarterback room, how does it shake out in your opinion, or do you think it should shake out?
So I think right now I would say Cam Ward's 1, Shedeur Sanders is 2, and then we have a pretty big gap here between the Jalen Milrose and Kyle McCords and some of those guys, Jackson Dart, some of those players, but who I don't think any of those guys are first round picks personally. But and I would also say this, I would add to this that I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders right now, while I believe they're probably both top 20 players, I'm not sure that I would slam dunk them as they're no doubters. When the Jags drafted Trevor, he was one of those guys that was a no doubter. Everybody sort of knew Trevor Lawrence has everything you need to be a big time player in the NFL. I don't know if we can say that about either Cam or Shedeur. They could grow into that. They could have a Bo Nix type profile to them, which is good for some teams if you have everything around them. But I'm not sure that's enough to trade up for, and I'm not sure that's enough for a team like Tennessee, who needs a ton and already has a project young quarterback in Will Levis to do it again at 1. So for me, it's like you can get project quarterbacks in this class later. You don't need to do it up there. In Vegas, the Giants, they're right now, especially the Giants, you've got a coach and a GM that's fighting for his job to stay alive. They need to get a quarterback one way or the other. And, as we've seen this week at the Combine, there are reports that both the Giants and the Raiders, I believe, have been interested in Matthew Stafford. So I think that says a lot, too, about maybe they're not as, slam dunk sure on these quarterbacks just yet. And I think that might linger beyond the Combine.
Yeah, from a Jaguars perspective, it doesn't help that Carson Beck decided to stay in college and not go to the draft, and that, Quinn Ewers didn't have a better season to be skyrocketing up as far as the Combine is concerned. All right, Nick, well, we know you have a ton to do there at the Combine, so we really appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Nick Baumgartner covers the NFL draft for The Athletic. Really good stuff. I have to say, we're definitely going to bookmark what he had to say on Mason Graham. Top 3 prospect, can't miss prospect. That is good stuff. All right, we will check in with Mia O'Brien and hear her interview with Trevor Sikkema from PFF on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Where Jaguars fans find common ground.
Duval till we die.
1010XL.
Hey, John, have you heard about the incredible offers at Randy Marion Cadillac?
They've got rates as low as 3.9% for 36 and 48 months on the stunning 2024 Escalade.
That's right. Experience luxury like never before. Whether it's the exquisite interior or the advanced technology, every drive feels like a royal experience.
Visit Randy Marion Cadillac today on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
And don't forget, Randy Marion is the king of price. Drive and indulge in luxury at Randy Marion Cadillac.
Plus tax tag Title 9, 99 admin fee with Resistol and approved credit.
Reclaim a pain-free life with Rebound Rehab. If you've been injured or simply feeling the effects of an active life, you can rely on Rebound Rehabilitation to get you back in the game. Sitting on the sidelines isn't any fun. Trust Rebound Rehab's team of trained physical therapists to get you back up to speed and feeling full again. Now more convenient than ever. 11 locations to serve you, including new offices in Riverside across from St. Vincent's, Point Meadows, and Middleburg. Just log on to reboundrehab.com to see all they've got to offer.
What's happening, folks? E.T. here, and get out of the house and crush those New Year's resolutions on the beautiful trails of Clay County. With perfect weather, now's the time to explore Jennings State Forest, Mike Rose Gold Head State Park, and Belmore State Forest. And after your hike, refuel at one of Clay's local favorites, like Dalton's Sports Grill or the Corner Pocket. Clay is my home, so I can promise you my people will take care of you. Trust me, just visit exploreclay.com and share those adventures at #ExploreClay.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Savannah Ghost Pirates and Greenville Swamp Rabbits at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena for Military Appreciation Weekend. Presented by CSX and the Nimnick family of dealerships. Join as we honor our military with special jerseys and pregame festivities. Friday and Saturday's game time 7, Sunday at 3. You and your family can take a shot on goal on the ice after the game. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 27, 1959, Boston Celtics point guard Bob Cousy sets NBA record with 28 assists.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Lauren from Helmets and Heels wishing you a happy new year. Start 2025 off strong by giving your car the expert care it truly deserves at Big Chief Tire. Their skilled technicians will keep your vehicle running smoothly all year long, whether you're commuting, traveling, or just cruising around town. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment and start the new year off right. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
It's February, so it's still technically New Year's resolution time, so why not skip the guilt and do something you'll actually stick to? Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. How about fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting that AC ready for the summer? Duck Duck Rooter is here to help you keep this resolution. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Invest in your home and start the year off right. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pacifico is brewed for those who let go of the things that don't matter and hold on to the ones that do. That's living life. Anchors up.
Pacifico, found in Baja, imported by surfers. Ask for a Pacifico when you're ready to live life anchors up.
Pacifico is a crisp golden lager, brewed for those who know. It's what's behind a label that matters.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your next round of golf with us. Our welcoming atmosphere and love for golf keep our friends coming back. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Emily. Thank you to the players for supporting Clark Schools for Hearing and Speech.
Clark helps kids like my daughter Emily who are deaf or hard of hearing learn how to listen and talk.
12 more days until the players.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's The Mangler.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
Staying alive one night of the Bee Gees, a tribute like you've never seen before. Experience the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist performed live. March 6th at Jack Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale Lighting, Fans, and Home Decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you, and we're, of course, here in Jacksonville, FLA, but up in Indianapolis, Indiana is Mia O'Brien live from the NFL Combine, thanks to our friends at Hodges Mazda, presented by Window World. Mia, have you avoided the Starbucks there in Indianapolis?
That specific Starbucks, yes, Lauren. I have actually only been in the JW once so far this week. I don't know how that's happened. I have a new favorite coffee shop. Real ones know you don't go to S-Bucks. You go to the Weston Coffee Shop. It's like this little, it's in the Weston, but it's like this little local or at least boutique-y looking coffee shop. I have now been 3 times this week, and I'm obsessed. So maybe that's where the good vibes are. Don't go near where the fight happened.
Yeah, for people who don't know, there was a verbal skirmish between Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, but we'll leave that to them. We are just straight professionals here, so all we do is talk about all things happening at the Combine. I know you get to hear from Travis Hunter today, amongst other defensive backs. Your impressions?
So I actually should note, I have not actually listened to Travis Hunter yet because I was tag teaming with our good friends, John Shipley and Demetrius Harvey. And so the two of them went over to Travis Hunter for our Jacksonville contingent to get that audio and video. And I was the designated, hey, you go get Will Johnson. Not that maybe he's a pick at 5 because he's not going to take part in the on-field activities here at the Combine. A lot of speculation about what his 40 time will be. And so I actually was on Will Johnson duty. And as the two of them are texting me saying, yeah, Travis really isn't saying much about the Jags. He's not really saying much at all. I, kind of stumbled upon another reporter asked Will Johnson about Kevin Wilkins, the former Michigan assistant coach, who, of course, came to Michigan last year with Wink Martindale, the defense coordinator from the National Football League, from the New York Giants by way of, and then, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. And he was asked about Kevin Wilkins, and he kind of I don't want to say deflected, but he was like, he wasn't my coach, but I know him. He's my coach. And yeah, we were together only for a year. And then that reporter followed up by saying, hey, have you met with the Jaguars then? Because Kevin Wilkins is now employed by the Jaguars, to which Will Johnson said no. And I then asked him, do you have any plans to meet with the Jaguars this week? And he said no. They are not on my schedule. So, again, this is very early in the pre-draft process. Look, folks, we will have top 30 visits, pro days. This is not to say that Will Johnson is off the Jaguars draft board, but it was rather interesting knowing that corner spot opposite Tyson Campbell is obviously a topic of conversation, if only that. And the fact that the corner who many believe is the number 2 or number 3 rated corner in this year's crop has not had conversations with the Jaguars. You couple that with what I've heard around in Indianapolis this week, some potential red flags when it comes to the character. I actually followed up and I asked Will about what the perception of him is nationally, given the fact that he had an injury-riddled final season at Michigan. And he's the one who brought up the Q word of people think I quit on my team. But people at Michigan know I did not. And I didn't even bring up the Q word. He brought the Q word up. So clearly he's either reading tweets. Mm-hmm. He was prepared by his agent and by his representation before he took the podium here in Indianapolis. But you just piece those pieces together, and it's interesting when you juxtapose it, Taylor and Lauren, with what James Gladstone and Liam Cohen have said they want in their first draft class.
Yeah, it is interesting because, like you said, the positional need for the Jaguars, that positional value of how high people are seeing him in the draft, and then the connection now here in Jacksonville. It is interesting that there hasn't been conversations. And to your point a second ago with the Travis Hunter, because I did see Demetrius Harvey when he was up at the podium, and Demetrius Harvey tweeted saying that Travis Hunter did say he's going to play both when they were asking which position. And there was a follow-up saying if a team only gives him one choice, and he said, that's not my job to figure out. I was like, well, he's not wrong, I guess.
And then he said he has 2 jobs already. He doesn't need to return kicks and punts.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you this. The Travis Hunter scrum was the biggest one of the week, and I don't think that's a surprise. I don't think I'm breaking news there, but it was, rather funny because about an hour before he was set to take the podium, our good friend Ryan O'Halloran from up in Buffalo, of course, previously works for Florida Times-Union, he came over to me jokingly, and he said, well, we know it's going to be one-on-ones at 11 a.m., and I didn't really understand what he said, and I went back to him. I said, what do you mean? Travis Hunter's at podium 8, and Will Johnson's at podium 6, and he goes, yeah, and every other guy is going to have nobody standing there, so it's basically a one-on-one with all of those guys, which to get a chance to talk with Coby Bryant of Kansas, who is a name that I know many Jaguar fans are intrigued by as a potential day 2, day 3 pick at that corner position, reminded me a lot in terms of personality of our buddy Jarian Jones with the Jacksonville Jaguars, last year's 3rd-round pick. Similar energy, wanted everyone to know he's a dog. He's fought for this. He can be inside, outside, man, zone, whatever you need him to do. And I think that that's going to be a prospect that a lot of folks who are looking for that 2nd or 3rd round to be the sweet spot for the Jaguars at corner, I think that that's a name that many are going to keep in mind.
I did see one video because at the same time as Travis Hunter, Elijah Huzzie was up there, I guess, at the same time. And that makes me a little sad because there was one person at his and literally 700 people at Travis Hunter's, but I guess that is expected.
And that's the way it goes, you know. I mean, look, he's box office, and he's going to be the show because he is one of the marquee names in a draft class that, as we've, exhausted, I think, ad nauseum, but as we get ready to really dive over the next 6 weeks into this class, even more so, Taylor, he is the undisputed biggest name in a class that lacks stars.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mia, other nuggets before we get to your interview with PFF's Trevor Sikkema.
Yeah, I think you guys will, of course, enjoy that interview with a friend of the program as well as a friend of Duval. I didn't reference some of the friends that I know. He noted that he had a great tailgate once upon a time in 2017 at a playoff game with. But shout out Chris Medlin, shout out the boys, because, Trevor was awesome. But, I think that my biggest takeaway is to go back to the top of the class. I think that it is so interesting to hear and try to, in my mind, differentiate between this guy has an edge, this guy is too much about himself. And also knowing that we have, as you both know, we have spent the better part of the last few months at the end of the Doug Peterson era trying to dissect, is the coach not adapting, or is this what the modern player is? Do you have to go get a coach who understands that this is what the modern player is? And so the point being, as I've heard things about various prospects and being perhaps a little too brash or a little too forward and about themselves, that's something that I think about, especially when what was a big reason why Shad Khan hired James Blackstone, because of the humility and because of the intangibly rich, not look at me attitude that he carries. And I believe as much as a team is a reflection of the head coach, I also believe that it's a reflection of the person who is leading the draft process. And so I think when you pair those two things together, I'm rather fascinated to see how the Jaguars attack the 2025 NFL draft.
All right, Mia, we will circle back with you in the next hour, but we appreciate you joining us live from Indy.
You got it. Absolutely.
All right, we'll talk with Mia soon, but she did have a chance to catch up with PFF's Trevor Sikkema, better known as Alyssa Lang's fiancé, is how we describe it on here, considering Alyssa Lang was once a guest host here on Helmets and Heels. But here is Mia with Trevor Sikkema earlier today.
Pleased to be joined on Radio Row by another friend of the program of Helmets and Heels and 1010XL, Trevor Sikkema, the lead draft analyst for PFF, and of course, part of the PFF Stock Exchange podcast, one of my favorite listens this time of year, let alone 365. I know so many of our listeners echo that sentiment. Trevor, thanks so much for taking some time.
It's great to be with you. I appreciate you having me.
And of course, you are an honorary Jacksonvillian in a weird, twist of fate. You kind of claim us a little bit, although maybe not lately after the Liam Cohen situation.
It is a little dicey, with the Liam Cohen situation, but I tailgated once for the Jags playoff game. What was it, in 2017 when they played the Bills? And it was an incredible time. I have a lot of great friends who are Jags fans, and so I do. I root for the Jags. I do want them to do well because I have so many friends that are Jags fans who need some success. We need some success here to root for. So, and I need another playoff game to go tailgate for. So
Exactly.
that's what, it's really selfish.
If there's one thing Duval knows how to do, it's party.
100%.
You are a Tampa native. You did previously cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I did.
So as much as we are going to talk prospects here and fits for the Jaguars at number 5, Trevor, I do want to start because you were one of the funnier follows in the crazy 48 hours of Liam Cohen is going back to Tampa Bay.
Right.
Then he's taking a midnight flight under the cover of darkness, and then Trent Baalke's fired. What do you make league-wide, the perception and now the reflection a month later of exactly what went down between the two sides?
You know, honestly, like, it's a split, but I think a lot of people just understand, like, this is the business, right? I mean, like, you're dealing with millions of dollars and millionaires and billionaires, and when things are on the line, you're just trying to negotiate things as best you can. And I'm never going to, hold anything against somebody for maximizing an opportunity to become a head coach in this league, because there's only 32 in the world. And so when you have the opportunity to do that, and I can understand Liam maybe initially talking to the Jags and then maybe holding firm to Trent Baalke being the general manager, or maybe the contract number or balance of power or whatever it was, and he probably says, thank you, but no thank you. I'll go back to Tampa. A lot of familiarity there. He was probably going to have another great year as the offensive coordinator there. Probably felt like he could put another really good step forward to being a head coach in the next cycle. But then, when Shad comes back and things change and he goes, okay, we're going to be a lot more flexible to exactly what you want, you understand why he listens, and you understand how he came to this conclusion. So obviously, like, the whirlwind of it, of like, did he tell the Bucs? Did he not tell the Bucs? Like, whatever. It's all sort of details that we only know through reports, but it is what it is. I mean, the Buccaneers, Jason Light and Todd Bowles, they were up here at the podium at the Combine, and they're like, hey, Liam's a great coach. We wish him nothing but the best. And Liam's obviously trying to do his best job of surrounding him with the right coaching staff. Obviously, new general manager as well. And so it's just, it was a crazy 48 hours, like you said, but here we are. I think that Liam is going to be a good head coach.
I forget what was it. You had some sort of pirate movie. I'm blanking on which one.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
It was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I should know that. If there's a pirate movie, it's probably
the scene where they're going down with the ship.
Yes.
Yeah. And him saying it's just good business.
Exactly.
It's just good business.
It's just good business. When it comes to the Liam Cohen offense, it's going to be run here in Jacksonville. He says it's going to run through Brian Thomas Jr. What does that mean for the Jaguars here in Indianapolis and throughout the pre-draft process?
I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. obviously had a phenomenal rookie season. When he was at LSU, so I was a little bit lower on him than some other people. Not that I didn't think that he'd be a phenomenal player. I just felt as though coming out of LSU, he was very much that vertical stretching wide receiver. Really good athlete. He could stretch the field for you. I wondered how limited his route tree was going to be in the NFL. I wondered how much he could get the ball in his hands in, short yardage and short route situations. He proved to be that wide receiver 1 caliber player, even just in 1 year when he was in Jacksonville. When Liam Cohen says that it's going to revolve around Brian Thomas Jr., it makes me think that he's not just going to be this outside receiver for them. I think they're also going to play him in the slot plenty, and I think that they are going to give him those manufactured touches to allow him to showcase that athleticism, not just running routes deep down the field, but also with the ball in his hands. So this is an offense in Tampa Bay that had a lot of that short stuff. I mean, they had a lot of wide receivers that they could get the ball to very quickly, but they also were able to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, let things develop down the field. I think that he sees Brian Thomas Jr. as a wide receiver to be able to do all of that. And in Tampa, it felt like, okay, well, this is more of a Chris Godwin play. This is more of a Mike Evans play. This is more of a Jalen McMillan play. It feels as though he's going to let Brian Thomas Jr. almost play all 3 of those roles at different times throughout the offense. So that, to me, is what that means when he says something like that.
Do they need another wide receiver, or do they need another tight end? Is there a fit that you say, ooh, this is a player in this year's crop of pass catchers that's a Liam Cohen fit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, Luther Burden would be great for them, because I think he's another short yardage guy who you can get the ball in his hands, and I think he can make magic for you happen after the catch. It's why I also think the Jags are one of those teams that should be interested in Deebo Samuel with the San Francisco 49ers, right? Make the call. Find out what the price would be, what they could take when it comes to the cap space with him coming over and being able to do that, because I think that would also help complete that offense with Brian Thomas Jr. there. But it's those guys that I think give you something after the catch. Some of those, slot players like Tez Johnson from Oregon, Xavier Restrepo from Miami. There's a handful. Got Jalen Noel from Iowa State. Like, I wonder if, okay, they're not going to draft a wide receiver at 5, at least I don't think. But it's later in the draft, you can get players like that who could be those yards after catch players for you to just allow you to have that total flexibility with Brian Thomas Jr. Because I think another reason why maybe you say, hey, he can be the total package for him, we can put him in these short yardage situations, is maybe you don't love who you have right now in that package, where maybe if you have a guy that you trust a little bit more in this rookie class, you feel like you can use him in a variety of ways.
Trevor Sikkema of PFF joining us here on Helmets and Heels. A couple more for you, Trevor. If you are James Gladstone, if you are Liam Cohen, who are you selecting? The board falls your way. You can have whoever you want.
Yeah.
Who are you selecting at number 5 overall?
So I think the common one is Abdul Carter, or not Abdul Carter. Sorry, the common one is they would like for the common one to maybe be Abdul Carter, but Mason Graham. I think that Mason Graham is the guy that makes the most sense for this team. You have the ability to really complete the defensive line, especially with Arik Armstead saying like, hey, I want to play a little bit more of 3 technique stuff. I want to be able to showcase what I can do. Mason Graham is one of those players that can be versatile for you and be able to play a lot of those spots on the interior defensive line. So if you have a defensive line that's Trayvon Walker, it's Mason Graham, it's Arik Armstead, it's Josh Hines-Allen. Like, that is that could be one of the best defensive lines in the NFL if you're able to bring that together. I also think about the cornerback position. I love a guy like Jahdae Barron from Texas. I love his versatility. He started playing safety, then he plays a nickel defender. This past year he played on the outside. Loved his podium section when I was just listening to him talk and his mental approach to the game and how he approaches just everything. He's such a pro. He's so mature in his game, honestly, on and off the field. He's a guy that I think is going to be a great NFL player. Will Johnson, the other corner from Michigan, I think is somebody who could make a lot of sense for this team. And you'd be setting up, one of those corners plays over here, then it's Tyson Campbell, then it's Jerry Jones in the middle. So I think that setting up one of those units to be really strong going into next year, that's where I constantly come back to when it comes to the Jags number 5.
We don't know how the board's going to fall, but I agree. I think if Mason Graham is there, I've said it multiple times here this week. I've said it multiple times over the last few weeks. He is a double off the wall. Plug and play, set it and forget it.
Yes.
Now, with that said, in terms of depth at 2 of the other key spots, you mentioned corner. Interior of the offensive line is obviously another.
Yeah.
In terms of finding that starter opposite Tyson Campbell and finding a starting right guard, if you're to say goodbye to Brandon Scherf, who is a pending free agent, where do you find that depth in this year's draft?
I think the offensive line is going to be very interesting because I wouldn't say that it's not the best offensive line class, but it is very versatile. So I think team boards are going to be very different on where they view some of these players because some will view these tackles to stay a tackle, some will think that they're guards, some will think that they're centers. So it's kind of all over the place, which I think goes to the Jags' advantage, especially when you talk about rounds 2 and 3, because you get a player, for example, Gray Zabel, who played offensive tackle at North Dakota State. I don't know if he's going to be drafted in the first round because he's probably transitioning from offensive tackle to guard or center, but like if they have the chance to pick him at the top of the second round, like I love that. I think that's sort of like you say, you don't get a lot of plug and play players in the second round outside of the first round, but he is somebody who I think makes a ton of sense for them. When it comes to cornerback position, a guy who I really like, who it doesn't feel like he's got a lot of first round buzz, but I feel could be a great cornerback too and a compliment to what the Jags have, is Trey Amos from Ole Miss. I think that a guy like Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State is also very interesting. Him and Jerry Jones played together the year before, and so they have that chemistry there with that duo along with Tyson Campbell. So I do think that there are players rounds 2 and 3 at interior offensive line and at corner that it sets the Jags up pretty well to take best player available, like whether it is, maybe they think it is one of these wide receivers, maybe they think that it's a Mason Graham, and then can stay with the corner into interior offensive line needs later on day 2. I think that could definitely be a winning game plan for the Jags this draft season.
Final one for me, and I appreciate that, Trevor, because I know there's been a lot of discrepancy among Jaguar fans, because if this is a defensive tackle class that, as Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network says, could have 11, 12 starters.
A lot, yeah.
To take Mason Graham at number 5, I know that that's difficult for people to wrap their head around, but I think we've agreed here, if he's the safe, cleanest player with the highest ceiling.
The Jags' needs line up really well to have a first 3-round haul, like whatever it is. You can go a lot of different ways for it. I don't know, 3 starters.
That may be a little
not always a guarantee, but like at least in theory, I feel like the Jags' needs with how this class is sets up well for them to have a good return on those first 3 picks.
And you don't have to say, well, there's more DTs, I can wait.
Right.
Just take who's there.
Sure.
And if Gray Zabel's there, you definitely got to take him. I think he's going to go in the first round. But last one for me, Trevor. One thing that was identified to me during the unfortunately failed final season of Doug Peterson and has been identified throughout many conversations here in Indianapolis. The Jags need edge. If Trent Baalke did one thing right during his time, and Dave Caldwell in the final years of his time as general manager, nothing against the 2017 Jaguars, who of course provided you a very great tailgate once upon a time.
Yes, they did.
And a magical
Shout
playoff
out.
run.
Yes.
In terms of bringing in guys who are team players, who are not, I don't want to use the word Eagle Scout because that has a negative connotation to some. They did a really good job at that. But it has really become apparent to me in a lot of conversations, both in Jacksonville and here, the Jags need that player who, while mature, has some edge.
Yeah.
Who is that guy? Because I know Mason Graham, he's a lunch pail, put your hard hat on and go to work. Who is that guy that maybe gives them edge, but it's a controlled edge, akin to Jarian Jones?
Right. I mean, like, my mind first goes to corner because it's just the position that I feel like has the most dog in it. Kobe Bryant, the corner from Texas, is the guy that comes to my mind right away. I mean, even his podium session, it was like, hey, who do you model your game after? He goes, Jalen Ramsey. So again, like, shout out the Jags when they were at their peak. And he was talking about like the things that he likes about Jalen Ramsey's game, and he's like, yeah, he talks a lot of trash too. Like, it's not just the ability and the takeaways, everything. He loves the fact that he talks a lot of trash. So he's the first guy that comes to my mind. But there's a lot of these other DBs who are very confident players. Honestly, like Abdul Carter was super confident when he was up there. So I think that playing with an edge is very, very important, especially in the secondary, getting those tone centers. And I wonder if they will feel that way about the safety position as well. I didn't get to listen to as many safeties as I would like to, so I'm going to go back and sort of listen to these podium sessions, hear who might, have that sort of confidence about them and that edge to them. But I agree with you. Having that competitive toughness and that feistiness is a very important part of having a locker room that the goal is Super Bowl, right? It's not just to like win games and play pretty good and play up to expectation. Like, they want to beat the best, they want to go up against the best. You got to have that competitive edge to you.
As Kobe Bryant said, we need dogs.
100%.
He's a dog.
Yes.
I'm not going to say you're a dog because you're a Florida Gator, so we don't want to.
That's true. I would have taken it though. As long as we spell it D-O-G. Okay. And not the other way.
Okay. Not D-A-W-G.
No, we don't do that.
I think that's how Kobe was spelling it. But that's a story for another time. Trevor Sycamore, PFF, thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Thanks, Mia.
All right, good stuff there from Trevor and Mia. We will catch up with her another time in the 1 o'clock hour, right around 1:20. But on the other side, we also want to hear from Mia's interview with Yahoo Sports' Charles McDonald and see what he has to say about everything going on at the NFL Combine. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Making spring a Jacksonville thing. What a week!
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Enhanced by
Dermagnify, medical, surgical, and cosmetic dermatology, San Jose Collision, and Doorbell Farms Produce Delivery.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back in the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
What Major League Baseball teams have never won a World Series?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
There are 5 Major League Baseball teams that have never won a World Series: Colorado, Milwaukee, San Diego, Seattle, and Tampa Bay.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Well, check out i9sports.com with spring and summer registration open right now, including all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. i9sports.com, enter 1010 for a discount.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, black and redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and of course, Julington Creek Road.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The JU Dolphins clinched a home tournament game with their win over Stetson last night, 79-72. Jacksonville never trailed against the Hatters en route to the team's second straight victory at home. Will now head into the ASUN Championship Tournament as the 4th seed. Will host number 5 Eastern Kentucky. Dolphins head coach Jordan Mincy postgame giving praise to his team.
Hard-fought victory. Extremely proud of our guys. Close out the way they did the last 2 games. Being able to, get back just being kind of us. We had a little bit of practice, and we talked about that in our earlier game this week. For the most part, I was just extremely proud just of our energy, the type of culture we had, the way that the guys love each other. And, we had some adversity through the course of the game, myself included. But luckily for our guys, man, they're able to kind of humble you, get you refocused, and get you regrounded. And just happy about the victory.
Dolphins have secured their most wins in conference play since the 2010-2011 season. It's 80 degrees at 103. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
was just teasing Molly to take you behind the scenes. She said it's 80 degrees. I was like, it's not 80 degrees out there. It's only 75 degrees.
It is fantastic outside.
This is the time of year to live in Jacksonville when other people are dealing with snowstorms and weather below zero, and Jacksonville has mid-70s and sunny. Absolutely gorgeous. We love it. It's not exactly like that up in Indianapolis, but not as cold as it could be. That's the good news for everybody attending the NFL Combine. Again, many thanks to our friends at Hodges Mazda for sponsoring this year's trip for Frank Hayes and Mia. Frank and Hayes on their way back. Mia's still up in Indy, getting all things for you on the ground level there at the Indiana Convention Center, also presented by Window World. Let's head back up to Indy as Mia caught up with Yahoo Sports' Charles McDonald, who covers the NFL.
Pleased to be joined with Yahoo Sports, the World Wide Web's Four Verts, Charles McDonald. How are you, my friend? I'm glad you're where the sky is blue, but we do miss you in that other alternative world online.
Yeah, I mean, it was time for me to get out of there, I feel like. I think it's time for a lot of people to get out of there. But that's not what we're here for. Here in Indianapolis, it's another week here. You know, this is like my 6th or 7th combine, so I've been around the block, but it's still good to be here, see everybody else, get some work done, and get out of here.
And you've now joined forces with our friend Nate Tice at Yahoo Sports and Football 301. You, of course, can find that wherever you get your podcast. Matt Harmon as well. You and Nate are noted apologists for our Jacksonville Jaguars in all of Duval.
The quarterback, at least.
Okay, yes, that's true. At least well, let's start there, Charles, because I've had more than one person come up to me this week and say, I got questions about Trevor. Do you have questions about Trevor?
Is the rest of the team going to get together for him? Not exactly. 'Cause, I mean, he's not a perfect player, but who is? There's no. Maybe Patrick Mahomes, but even then, we saw he's got his kryptonite too. If you have like 4 all-pro defensive linemen coming after him, but he's a good player. You know, I think he's a player that, at his best, is one of the best throwers in the league. You know, he's a good athlete, still got a lot to grow. I'm a big fan of his game. I think he's a lot more accurate than given credit for. When he has the opportunities to throw down the field and it's clean and blocked up for him, he's a pretty good player. You know, obviously there's moments where there are throws he'd like to have back, like any other quarterback, but just as a baseline talent level, you're not going to find too much better, I think, than what Trevor's got. And I still don't think that contract he got last year was a mistake or even a big deal. It's just kind of the cost of doing business, and I think he's worth the money.
I think from the macro level, there are those who thought he would be the type of quarterback to elevate the rest of the team, but I think it's also okay in 2025 to say we have a quarterback who needs a capable running game and a capable offensive line in order to have success.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we all know his rookie year. It was a little weird over there with the Urban Meyer stuff.
11 months, I'll never get back. Continue.
Yeah. But then, you know, you had a good season with Doug before that went sour too. And Trevor's played a little bit of a role in it, but still, we're talking about someone who I think is one of the most gifted quarterbacks in football. And it's just, you got Brian Thomas Jr., who's already one of the best wide receivers in football. I thought that they had some really nice moments last year. And then I think what's good for Brian is he had those moments without Trevor, too. So, you know, it's like we've been saying for years at this point. You're kind of like right there, but you're not at the same time, which is just kind of the world the Jacksonville Jaguars live in. But I'm still high on Trevor Lawrence. I think he would have to be a lot worse for me to jump off of that bandwagon. And I'm still holding my stock with what's it called, diamond hands, like they say in Uncut Gems.
Yeah. Uncut Gems reference, love it. Are you holding stock? Are you buying stock? James Gladstone, Liam Cohen.
First time GMs. I don't know. This is just me.
I was gonna say you also are. I should know you are an Atlanta Falcons fan, so you
got to bring up.
Because Terry was a first-time GM. So for Jaguar fans who have questions about a first-time GM for the first time in 12 years, what say you?
You could never know. You don't know. And that's a cop-out answer. But, you know, I'm not going through Gladstone's every single decision he made while he was with the Rams. Like, I don't know. Hopefully he's good at it for, you know, the sake of our podcast, for the sake of the mental health of Jacksonville Jaguars fans. But you never know. I think Liam Cohen, though, it's a little easier to project because you have tangible results, right? We watched them call plays for the Buccaneers last year. They were good. They were really good on offense. I think one of the coolest things is you lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for part of the year. You have an immediate pivot. Okay, we're going to make our offense running backs, tight ends, screen game, which is a lot different from the Mike Evans. We're flinging the ball 20, 30 yards down the field and seeing what happens. So I'm I'm bullish on Liam. He's gonna have to work on his Duval chant. I think he.
I said, you want to give us a Duval? Show him how.
No, I'm not associated with the team like that. But yeah, I think he's a good play caller. A funny process on how he got the job and how everything unfolded. Felt a little Jags-worry as it was going on, but
I'm glad that it's Jags-worry and not controversial. Like I keep hearing from people.
Controversial.
I get 32.
Correct. To me, that's where it ends. Could he have gone about it a little better? Maybe, but at the end of the day, you should know what the game is, So
the game is the game. Yes. One last one from me, Charles. Knowing the Jaguars the way that you do, looking at the schematics, offense, defense, what needs to be prioritized, what position for you is undoubtedly one they have to address in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think defensive tackle might be a good spot. I've seen it, and we put it on our own mock draft yesterday. Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan, good player. I think that's a good place to start because, then you have something. You have a real trio on the defensive line because Joshua Hines Allen, great pass rusher off the edge. I think Trayvon Walker is one of the best, number 2 pass rushers in the league. Still a little light on the interior, though. That Jaguars defense, because I was going around telling everyone, Ryan Nielsen, you look at the work he did in Atlanta last year, we're going to miss him. And
see, and there you go. I want the folks at home to know. You were among those last year, this time last year.
I was mad as hell that the Falcons let him walk because they had such a good year into him with no good players.
Was he doing hockey shifts there?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So in Jacksonville this past year on defense, they were rotating not just the defensive linemen, but the safeties, the corners, the linebackers, every snap.
They didn't have enough players to do all that in Atlanta, to be honest with you. Which is why I was mad they let him go because, we have, we're building a top 20-ish defense with top 32 talent, So, hey, game's a game.
Don't call it a comeback for him in Buffalo.
I just now learned he's in Buffalo right now.
Charles, thanks so much for hopping on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff once again from Mia O'Brien up there at the NFL Combine, the 2025 version, as she caught up with Charles McDonald, who does cover the NFL for Yahoo Sports. Mia will join us on the other side. A couple of quick local sports stories I wanted to get to, Taylor. Last night, JU baseball lost to 5th-ranked FSU 9-6, but get this. The DeLameleur brothers, so Blake is a senior at JU, Brody is a freshman at FSU. They both hit home runs last night.
That.
Their first of the season.
Stop.
So, yeah.
A little extra juice, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. And
not that juice, but
not that kind of juice. But, yeah, I wanted to give them certainly their due recognition. And then UNF baseball lost to number 6 Florida. Get this. So, it was tied in the 9th inning. Florida was leading 6-2 in the 9th inning. UNF ended up rallying back and tying. So now it was tied heading into the bottom of the 9th. And then Florida loaded the bases. UNF had a wild pitch, and Florida won on a walk-off wild pitch, 7-6. So really good stuff from both local teams in JU battling FSU and UNF battling 6th-ranked Florida.
That brings me back to the tournament last year. I feel like there was a lot of moments of that, like wild pitches or home runs in the bottom of the 10th and stuff like that. And that's how those baseball games went late. So those are always stressful when you are a fan. When you're not a fan, those are the best possible baseball games to watch.
I remember that Florida-Clemson baseball game, one of the ones in the tournament, lasted, I want to say 15 or 16 innings. It took forever. And then on the hard court, JU men's basketball, as you heard in Molly's update, beat Stetson 79-72. And then Monday night, JU gets to play host to Eastern Kentucky. JU is the 4th seed. That means they get to be the host. Eastern Kentucky, the 5th seed, because Eastern Kentucky did win last night, but because JU beat Stetson, JU gets to be the host. So that comes up Monday night, 7 p.m. at Swisher Gymnasium. That's the ASUN quarterfinals. Before that, though, UNF has to play Austin Peay Sunday at 7 p.m. because, like I mentioned, UNF lost to Eastern Kentucky 86-81. And so that game will be at North Alabama, who's the 2nd seed in the ASUN tournament. That game Sunday, 7 p.m. So make sure you're locked in Sunday night to be watching UNF, and then make sure if there are tickets available, you get to Swisher Gymnasium on the beautiful campus of JU Monday night at 7 o'clock. Very important basketball games. Yeah. Obviously, if you win the ASUN, you're in the NCAA tournament. That's a huge feat. Absolutely, that both have accomplished in the past. All right, Mia O'Brien will join us on the other side live from Indianapolis. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
You know Dan Hicken.
Man, you put on a show up there at the homecoming last week.
And you know Jeff Prosser.
I don't want to live in your weird past.
Mornings on the Drill.
Do I make you nervous?
On 1010XL.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Joe C. for Hard Rock Bet. Football season may be over, but there's plenty of action everywhere else. Not sure what to bet on? Check out the Discover page at Hard Rock Bet. You can download the app or head to hardrock.bet. College basketball, we're closing in on the biggest tournament of the year. Don't go in blind. Bet on the action today. Hard Rock Bet, download the app. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Whether it's a leaky pipe, a backed-up septic tank, or your heater isn't keeping things cozy, call Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Mia O'Brien.
Don't I know you from somewhere? On Helmets and Heels, noon to 2.
I swear to you, I know her.
Then there's the 1010XL video and social media channels.
I would know her voice anywhere.
All Things Mia is driven by Arlington Toyota.
On 1010XL.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
E.T. here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
Is your office productivity running at full speed? Advanced Business Solutions has the solution with Xerox copiers. Whether you need high volume printing, scanning, or secure document management, Xerox copiers deliver efficiency, quality, and innovation. With features like cloud integration and mobile printing, Xerox is perfect for any modern office. Let ABS help you streamline your workflow. Veteran-owned Advanced Business Solutions.
Advanced Business Solutions.
What's happening, folks? E.T. here, and get out of the house and crush those New Year's resolutions on the beautiful trails of Clay County. With perfect weather, now's the time to explore Jennings State Forest, Mike Rose Gold Head State Park, and Belmore State Forest. And after your hike, refuel at one of Clay's local favorites, like Dalton's Sports Grill or the Corner Pocket. Clay is my home, so I can promise you my people will take care of you. Trust me, just visit exploreclay.com and share those adventures at #ExploreClay.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks here in Jacksonville, Florida. Mia O'Brien up in Indianapolis, where it's a comfortable 55 degrees and fairly sunny, according to AccuWeather.com. Mia O'Brien joins us now. Mia, what is one storyline that you didn't really see coming that has been talked about a lot at the Combine this week?
Oh, you mean everybody stopping by my table to tell me that James Gladstone looks like he's 12? Because that's one that I kind of saw coming, and it just continues to happen. Even a friend of the program, and of course one of my sister's best friends, Marshall Kramsky out in Cincinnati, just sat down and goes, "Hey, your GM is young." And I'm like, "Marshall, you're 28. Like, please stop." So, no, I think that one was expected. A storyline that I did not anticipate hearing. Certainly this idea of Matthew Stafford being on the trading block, which that surfaced last week. That was one that we knew would be a storyline coming in. I think the teams and destinations is rather fascinating. I mean, I heard a report on Get Up this morning about, well, when you actually look at it, and this was from Field Yates, knowing that Matthew Stafford has played his entire career indoors, when you put two and two together, why would he want to go to the frozen tundra and the ACL-inducing turf that is MetLife Stadium to play for the New York Giants when he could potentially join forces with Pete Carroll in Las Vegas, and Tom Brady, of course, would be the owner, but we're not going to talk about that. So that one's a little, the destinations and possible locales for Matt Stafford to end up in. I think that's interesting. But I'll be honest, I think how many players have been approved to request a trade, or have requested a trade, and they're requested permission to seek a trade. I think that's been rather fascinating to me. Some of the names we knew may come out, Jair Alexander perhaps most notably among them. I don't think Harold Landry is all that much of a surprise when you consider the position that the Titans find themselves in. But at the same time, I didn't expect this many guys to suddenly be on the trading block here at the NFL Combine.
Mia, some of the rule changes that are possibly being talked about, of the few biggest ones, that virtual measurement one, the tush push, and then the overtime rules that was announced yesterday too. Have you heard many people talking about any of these ones possibly actually going through and having some changes to them?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything specifically on any of those rule changes. What I can tell you is I was a little perplexed as to why Sean McDermott did his media availability on Monday. He was the only coach to do so, but it's because he's the representative on the rules committee, and so obviously he's had meetings the last few days. The tush-push one I think is always going to, be the one that becomes the biggest talking point. But I'll be honest with you, ever since, the Matthew Stafford stuff started picking up steam, and ever since prospects started being paraded through here yesterday afternoon, or I guess yesterday morning technically, I think even the tush-push conversation has kind of died down a little bit. I think that it will be a storyline that will be talked about in the weeks ahead. But so many of these things, as Mark Lamping noted on Monday at James Gladstone's introductory presser, when it comes to where the Jaguars will play during the season, where they have to relocate because the Stadium of the Future is being put together, he noted that so much of this is back and forth. Maybe you submit the proposal, but then you still have X amount of months and weeks until the next owners meeting where you actually, see a vote take place. And so I'm curious if it even gets to that point with the tush-push ruling.
Does it feel like that was last week, that James Gladstone presser, Mia?
I mean, the tush push thing feels like it was last week. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I have told multiple people, they're like, have you met James? And I'm like, yeah, I talked to him like 6 times. I'm like, in a 24-hour span there. So yes, it's been a week, but that's all right. We're ready to roll and hopefully, get back tonight and back on Helmets and Heels in person tomorrow.
Were you surprised at all by the NFLPA player grades as the treatment of families, And as far as from what I can understand, it's that the players don't have their own separate area, and certainly they would like to be able to get sideline passes pregame and then also have an area for postgame.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that the letter grade was as low as it was, but I will tell you that, to your point, Lauren, yes, I've heard multiple times instances where players, and this is not just the current administration or, I guess the most recent administration. This has been in the 6.5 years I've covered the team, in which I've heard of players trying to ask, hey, can I get this? Can I get that? And maybe there's a little more pushback. And quite frankly, Lauren, I think it's a great question because it brings us back to why was Tony Baselli hired? Tony Baselli was hired because largely it felt like there was a disconnect between the, so to speak, front office and the non-football side and the football side of the operation in Jacksonville. And so hopefully that's another area that he's going to be able to address under his jurisdiction, because it's equally as important, especially with the modern player, which has been a talking point here. These players are not just, all right, grab your hard hat, your lunch pail, you go to work, you go home, and we don't care about what happens after you leave. Like, this is your life. And so teams and franchises need to care about every single aspect of your life, including your family.
Another part of that, which I feel like may not have been the most surprising part, is the head coaching grade, which ended up being 31st out of 32. But a part of the overview, Mia, that stuck out to me is when they were describing it, they said players cite poor time efficiency, a lack of willingness to listen, and a weak team culture. That culture word is a word we've used a billion times on this show. But when you've been talking to people over the week and how kind of things went with Doug Peterson, were they shocked at all by it, or did they feel like it was kind of heading into that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think across the board, everyone says that Doug checked out. At what point Doug checked out, no one really knows. And that part's rather interesting to me. No one really knows why. Had multiple people bring up the Press Taylor situation of if they had quite simply just tried to not make it all about this big mystery, right? If it hadn't been this mysterious, like, I don't know, why does it matter? I don't want to do this. Then maybe if there's not that mystery, then maybe there's not this ongoing saga. Because what is a head coach's job? To eliminate the distraction, to make it all about playing and all about the simplification of not just the game, but your life for the people in that building. And when you have this massive distraction, whether you believe it's a media-contrived narrative or not, on the outside, then that prohibits you, or at the very least hinders you from doing your job. And that's where I think for me a lot of this did go downhill. And so even if, yes, and many people have come up to me here at the Combine, and they've noted that they like Press Taylor. They like him as a person. They think he's a pretty good football mind. I don't want to speak to whether he's a good OC or not. Like, that's not my ruling. What I can tell you, though, is that ultimately Doug Peterson's demise and the grade that's reflected in that NFLPA report card, I believe, is a reflection of the fact that they allowed this distraction to perpetuate for so long.
That they did, and that's what led to 4-13, certainly. All right, Mia, I know we've talked so much about that 5th overall pick, but now that you've been around at least a couple days worth of prospects, where are you leaning as far as the round 2 pick number 36 overall? What position group?
Yeah, well, I know you guys just heard my conversation with our friend Trevor Sikkema of PFF, and, he noted that Gray Zabel, he thinks of North Dakota State, would be a home run pick for your Jacksonville Jaguars. I couldn't agree more. Of course, I also said on the Duval Rundown podcast last week, I think Gray Zabel will be gone by the time the Jaguars get to pick in the 2nd round. And so maybe that'll require a little bit of movement by Mr. Gladstone and company if they really do want to secure his services. I do think that they will go offensive line in the 2nd round personally, Lauren, just because I think it's a statement. And I think that, again, it's such a chicken or the egg question of if you have X amount of pass rushers and an elite defensive line, does it really matter who your corner is opposite Tyson Campbell if you believe Tyson Campbell is a number 1 corner? Because if he's a number 1 corner and you just need somebody who's serviceable on the other side of him, you can find that guy in the 3rd round. That's why you have 2 third-round picks. And so I think that also creates potential movement for the opportunities for the Jaguars having those 2 third-round picks. And I'm very curious to see if that is indeed the route they go. But I think you're going to see at least 3 of those first 4 picks come from the trenches in my estimation, because I do believe that this triumvirate of Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, and James Gladstone wants to make a statement that the trenches are where not only the game is won, but it's also where we will start to build this next iteration of the Jacksonville Jaguars. At the same time, I mean, you guys heard Trevor say it. Like, if you want a starting caliber corner who can plug and play, you're probably going to need to get him before Saturday.
Yeah, it's funny because when we were talking to Nick Baumgartner of The Athletic earlier, I specifically asked him about Gray Zabel, and he said he does not think he'll make it out of the first round just because not only all of the physical attributes, but also the fact that he could potentially play all 5 spots on the offensive line, and obviously that's going to put up some stock for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think his best position, because he's so high IQ and high EQ or whatever they're calling it these days, I think he's going to go in the top 25, quite frankly, just because of that versatility. And I think because of the success, ironically enough, that we saw Liam Cohen have with Graham Barton last year, a guy who played all 5 positions at Duke. He's this year's Graham Barton, and because Graham Barton had such a strong rookie season, I just think teams are going to realize, wow, like what a solid investment that was by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want that for my team.
All right, Mia, safe travels back to Jax. Thanks so much for all of your hard work. Good stuff this week from the Combine.
Appreciate it, friends. I will catch you guys on the flippity flip.
Bye, Mia.
All right, she'll be back in Jax tomorrow. Well, tonight, but ahead of tomorrow's show. And we will also hear tomorrow from Jordan Rodrigue of The Athletic. Mia caught up with her, so that'll be good stuff once again from Jordan. I've got our Terminix Pest of the Day on the other side. 1 segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Every game is a story.
And the game is tied.
Every play is a moment waiting to happen.
We're going to overtime.
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Mia here. You want to know what I'm so over? Resolutions. I mean, you're just kind of setting yourself up for a letdown, right? But you want to know what I am into? The revolution. Hitting the road in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. So what do you say? Join the Arlington Toyota Revolution and save big with financing as low as 0% on select new models. 0%. Or join the Revolution with up to $8,500 off select new Toyotas. I like saving $8,500. Don't you? Plus, every new purchase from Arlington Toyota comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's on limited time and miles. And Arlington's 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new Toyota purchase or exchange it for one that you did. Now's the time to save big and join the revolution in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard just a quarter mile east of 295 or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hey y'all, I'm Hannah with the Deck Guys. We've been locally owned and operated for over 10 years in the outdoor living space. If you are looking to get spring projects started, like a new deck, pavers installed, or maybe a pergola, we would love to earn your business. Just remember,
Call the Deck Guys if you want a brand new deck, pavers, or more. Call 904-813-2474.
thedeckguysjacks.com.
guts and grit meet hustle and muscle.
Like you said, it's all hard.
Hodges Mazda presents the Frangie Show at the Combine. Open by Window World of Northeast Florida. Roll through the off-season with AA Automotive on Richard Street and 1010XL.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Savannah Ghost Pirates and Greenville Swamp Rabbits at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena for Military Appreciation Weekend. Presented by CSX and the Nimnick family of dealerships. Join as we honor our military with special jerseys and pregame festivities. Friday and Saturday's game time 7, Sunday at 3. You and your family can take a shot on goal on the ice after the game. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Yeah, I'm going to cool down with a couple things that the NFL has announced. They did officially announce the salary cap for the 2025 season, which is going to be $279.2 million.
I'll take it.
From $255. They tried to tell us it wasn't going to keep increasing. From 1994, it was $34,608, and now we're up to $279,000.
$34,000 in 1994? No way.
Yeah, someone posted the whole chart of the league year. So 94, it was 34, and I'll just go in order. So from 94, it went 34.
It was 34.6 million in 1994.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
it's
not
going down.
34,000.
Okay. I was like, the way it was worded was weird. Okay. You're like, how did that even happen?
Yeah, no way.
So it was 34 million, then it went to 37, 40, 41, 52, and it kind of went down. 2010 I had an NA, but then the increase though, once it really started going back up, it was like 102, 109, 116, 123, 120. And then just gradually has gotten higher and higher from, just from this last years now, it's over $20,000 higher from just in one league year.
I'm looking at a chart that shows how it's a pretty consistent increase every year for the most part, like you said, down a couple of years. This is an exponential increase if you think about something. This is not inflation, people. If you think about something that was $34 million, 30 years ago, and now it's 281.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, and so in this tweet, Brian McCarthy says they were notified today of obviously the 279 million. I keep saying thousand. 279 $200,000, 200,000 is what it is. So total projected player costs, including benefits, are slotted at $362 million, over $362 million. So yeah, a lot of money that it keeps getting higher and higher when we're talking about it. But between that piece of news and what I was talking to about with Mia a little bit too of the rule changes, I wanted to get your thoughts on some of those too, because I know we've talked about the tush push a decent amount. I personally have no problem with the tush push. It doesn't bother me. I'm not one. I see tweets every game when it does happen, and they're like, "I hate this, ban this." It doesn't personally bother me the way it does other people.
Defend the Eagles better on the first 2 downs, and then you won't
don't even have to worry
3
about
downs,
it.
and then you won't get into the issue of them having to only gain a yard or less. In order to get the first down, the Jaguars are able to stop it. So look how bad the Jaguars defense was. Yeah. So I'm with you. The Packers, as we found out, were the team that wanted to ban it. I don't know that it would be interesting. Let me rephrase. Anthony Campanile came from the Packers organization, now the Jaguars defensive coordinator. I wonder how he feels about it. I'm not saying that he was the part of the Packers. He hasn't been with them now in a few weeks, but it would be interesting to get his thoughts on it. I'm with you. To me, it's a fair play. Yeah. Just because they have better leverage and angles, that they take better angles, the Eagles players do, than your defensive players, then that's on you to figure out a way to stop it.
Yeah. And like you said, or stop it earlier.
Correct.
Don't allowing them to get to that position.
And I thought that Jason Kelsey not being with the Eagles would maybe have an issue for them, present an issue for them not being able to do the tush push the same way, because he was so powerful and was the anchor of that the offense for so long. But Jason Kelsey, went into the media, and the Eagles continued to be fairly successful with the tush push. One thing that is coming out of the NFL, they say that there's no issue with Tom Brady and potential tampering violations, because the Rams gave Stafford and his agent permission to speak to the Raiders. So there's no tampering that the NFL found as far as that's concerned. We're going to have, I feel like, a lot of these with Tom Brady being an owner and also in the media, of just potential issues. That's why I've said before, I think he should step out of the broadcast booth and focus solely on the Raiders.
Yeah, I do think there's going to be a weird overlap that not everybody gets the benefit of. And it is funny because you go back to the whole right before Matthew Stafford ended up in LA, him and Sean McVay ran into each other in Cancun.
Right.
And so I was like, it's kind of ironic that Matthew Stafford runs into, and I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching the live stream, ran into Sean McVay in Cancun 4 years ago, then ends up playing for the Rams, and then now they're he's with Tom Brady in Montana. That's a little convenient for me.
This is why you want the NFL salary.
Yes.
Because the quarterback salary especially is because your vacations are Cancun and Montana. Even though you have, Stafford has 4 kids?
Yeah.
All right, so time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day. As always, Terminix brings you the pest of the day, as well as they take care of the pest and termite issues all over town, all of your favorite event venues, whether that's Everbank Stadium, Daly's Place, ViStar Ballpark, and many more. ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena as well. So today's Terminix Pest of the Day, by the way, they take care of the pests at our house as well. You can find them online at Terminix.com, TERMINIX.com. If you were watching the Cognizant Classic today, the golf tournament down in West Palm Beach, Florida, or Palm Beach Gardens, there was a little incident between Billy Horschel and a certain reptile. So the reptile is the pest of the day. An alligator wandered onto the golf course, and so calm former Florida Gator Billy Horschel just takes his, I don't know if it was a putter or which club it was, but just takes his club and escorts the alligator back into the water there. Alligator, you don't belong on the golf course. Stay in the water, stay in the pond. But the alligators terrify me. They've always terrified me, alligators and crocodiles. Yeah. So when I saw this video, and if you want to see it, just go to SportsCenter on Twitter. They've got it for you. It just gives me all the nervous vibes.
Yes. Yeah. The video and it's funny because he doesn't even look like he's nervous whatsoever.
No.
But that just probably shows how much they encounter that situation that we do not encounter on a normal basis. But I laughed too when you were telling me, because I was like, Billy Horschel is a gator and he's having to shoo off a gator.
I mean, like you said, I'm sure that this is something that happens of fairly regular occurrence for them, because they do play a lot of golf courses in Florida. They're on the Florida swing now. As we know, the Players is just a couple weeks away. And it is, I know, like I've seen Rick Ballou tweet out videos of different smaller alligators that he's seen and snakes and things like that on the golf courses. That just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. But yeah, I also saw that one golfer, I'm going to pull up the leaderboard here in a second, Taylor, but one golfer, Jake Knapp, shot a 59 today.
Oh, wow. That's a good day.
That's a
good.
I want to say that's a PGA Tour record.
Okay.
But yeah, looks like he's minus 12, and then followed by Daniel Berger and Russell Henley. So I'm super excited, as always, about the players, as we always talk about. It will begin not this upcoming week, but the week after. And next Friday, our show will be live from TPC as the merch tent officially opens.
Yeah, it's always a fun day to go out there because obviously the pro shop opens, which they said is going to be even bigger and better this year, which if you had been in previous years, it's hard to even imagine that because when you walk in, it's already like a little overwhelming, honestly, because there's so much stuff in there. But the pro shop will be opening. They also we'll be at a preview party and coming from that, which is a fun event. You get to I'll be able to taste some of the new drinks they have this year and some of the food, different places. Yeah, after the show, not before the show. But it's always a good time, and it just kind of feels like that's like the official kickoff of, okay, we're in Players Championship week because obviously Monday's the one day that not really, but then Tuesday through Sunday after that is just golf world surrounding us.
For sure. I mentioned Billy Horschel, obviously, with the incident with the alligator. He is tied for 14th at the Cognizant Classic. He is 5 under, and he is in the clubhouse. He's also 5 under along with Zach Johnson. And then a couple other notable names. Ricky Fowler is tied for 5th at 7 under. Jordan Spieth tied for 9th at 6 under. And Brian Harman also tied for 9th at 6 under. Harman, a Georgia golfer. Ricky Fowler is one of the more fascinating golfer stories to have followed. Mm-hmm. He won the Players back in 2015. Everyone had him on that trajectory that since then we've had a Jordan Spieth on, certainly Rory McIlroy. And then it felt like for a while he wasn't at the top of the leaderboard of any golf tournaments. And then I feel like in the last 2 years maybe
started talking about him a lot
started
more,
to climb back into that relevant category. And so I know I have friends that love Ricky Fowler. And so when he plays at the Players, they'll follow him all day. And so it's exciting to see that, he's had a little bit of a resurgence as of late. And it's also crazy to think that, like, Ricky Fowler is not a young golfer anymore. There's guys that are way younger than him. He's 36.
Yeah, and it feels like that was, to me, especially because I've shared this. I don't watch a ton of golf, but my grandparents loved Ricky Fowler. And so he was more so known, I think, for the golf, but also his style because it was always the brightest, craziest colors that he would always wear. So I remember that a lot more when I was younger. But it is funny because we talk so much about in baseball having slumps. And, you go through these games where some people are like, okay, it's been a month slump for this player. But it did feel like it was a really long one for Ricky Fowler to where people were starting to question, is it done for him? And then so it is kind of fun to see him back in it. We were talking about him wearing camo a month or so ago. And so
He's got style.
Yeah, he makes it work. But I did also want to share, I just saw something, Mason Graham.
Yes.
He had his measurables come out. So he was listed.
His measurements.
Yes. Measurements. He was listed as 6'3", 320. Today he weighed in at 6'3 and a half, 296. So about 25 pounds less than what he was listed, which is some of the conversations that have happened in this last couple months is that size factor. But someone broke down the percentiles. I was trying to find that again. Oh, Trevor Sikkema did.
Yeah.
So, that 6'3 and a half, 59th percentile, weight at 296, 26th percentile, and then arm 32 at the 12th percentile.
Yeah, the arm length is obviously 12th percentile is good. The arm length is something that we've talked so long about here.
It's just funny that now that's popping up. You're like, well, that wouldn't have been a problem, I guess.
Right. And look, the prospects that are coming to this class, I wonder if they hear there's not that much elite talent, but it's a deep class. Like, I wonder if that type of messaging trickles down to the guys that are actually in the interview process, certainly going through the medical stuff, then, getting shuttled into the actual Lucas Oil Stadium to do the workouts. Like, do they not even have time to worry about what media is saying?
Yeah, that would be interesting. And, we've heard just today when we were talking to Mia, guys definitely read tweets. They're definitely online. They hear what people are saying about them. Not everybody. Some of these guys are not on social media the way others are, but some are deep in it, and they search themselves to see what people are saying and to use that as motivation or what they want to do. But yeah, if you're looking and you're reading about this draft and you're someone who you feel like could go in the top 10 and everybody's saying like, nah, like this top 10, nobody in this top 10 is like really worth going into a top 10. And in the last 3 drafts, they would have all been, later first round, beginning of the second round. That, to me, I feel like would motivate some of these guys.
I certainly think so. All right, let's say hello to a guy that might be a tad bit over 6 feet.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Leon, we were talking about it with Matt the other day of kind of how the Senior Bowl can be a meat market at times with the guys just being paraded through. And you said certainly you were one of those types of guys. Having your height and weight just spit out for people, is that strange?
It was a little strange because we had to, when I went to the Combine, we had to walk on stage. We had to take off our shirt. We had to turn around, had our hands up and turn around. And then we went on the scale. Then we went in and got measured. By the way, I was 6'3" and 7/8.
Okay. 6'3" and 7/8.
And my weight was 302.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then arm length, hand size. I bet hand size and arm length were good.
Yeah, we're pretty good. I mean, they told me that I was, I should have been a 6'6" tackle instead of 6'3".
Oh, because of the arm length.
Yeah.
What, do you remember the length?
I don't, but they were pretty long.
Okay. We were just looking at, they announced Mason Graham's, and he's 6'3", 296 with 32 arm length.
I think I might be a little long with it.
Okay.
Michael Williams, the Georgia edge player, he's 6'5", 260, and his arm 34 3/8.
That's pretty
It's
good.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Looks like a good size.
You know what? I'm going to have to go back and check my
I want to
Combine
know.
status. Yeah, I'm going to have to for sure.
I like that. If you had to run the 40 today, how would you do?
If I would run, listen, I've been running since 2002.
2002, okay.
Now, I do a lot of walking, but I've been running since 2002. I'm proud of that.
You talked
That's
about
what you
them
should be.
flaunting you when it comes to the interview side of the Combine and the weird questions we've heard that were asked. Did you have any of those like kooky weird ones?
No, I didn't have any weird ones, but my first interview, I believe, was with the Indianapolis Colts. And I knocked on the door, and I walked in the door, and they got a chair right in the middle. They've got all these people around me, and they're barraging me with questions left and right, this, and that, whatever. I was a little intimidated at first, initially, because you got about 10 or 11 people around you that's asking you all kind of questions. But then they wanted to see my aptitude for football.
Mm-hmm.
Had me on the board. Hey, Leon, draw this, draw that, draw this defense. What would you do in this situation, whatever. So I was prepped because of the guys who went before me.
Yeah.
They told me what kind of stuff to do, so I practiced.
Did you have to do the podium interviews as well?
Yep.
Okay, and is that a little uncomfortable, depending on how many people are there?
No, but we didn't have the podiums like they do now.
Okay.
I mean, we just had the media. They would come around us to circle around us.
A little scrum. Okay.
Yeah, a little scrum around us.
Yeah, I feel like it's cool to see some of the guys that are so comfortable at the podiums. Like, you haven't done this that many times before, if ever before.
You'll be surprised that a lot of these guys are prepped. Probably not, if not by their school, but by their agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
good point.
that's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing on the show today?
We're gonna talk Combine first day, 3 p.m.
I like it.
Looking forward to it.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Leon.
You got it.
All right, that'll do it for us, and that'll do it for me for a little over a week, Taylor. I will see you Monday when we are at the Haight Golf Classic, the UNF Men's Golf Classic. Monday, March 10th, the week of the players.
Yeah.
Vacation
We'll
for
be
me
here before
until
we
then.
know it.
Absolutely, but Mia will be back tomorrow. For Mia
We'll have
O'Brien,
fun.
thank you so much. For Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Prime Time, talking all things Combine is next. These heels are made for talking, and some of them we'll talk to you tomorrow.